Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear participants. Welcome to this session of Islam Study Circle. So, as per our tradition, we'll be starting off with a passage from the Quran. This is, in fact, one single verse, the famous throne verse of the Quran, verse 255 of Surah Baqarah. It starts off as Allahu la ilaha illahu al hayyul qayyum la ta'khuzuhu sinatun wa la nawm lahu ma fis samawati wa ma fil ard man zal ladhi yashfa'u indahu illa bi izni يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم. God, there is no other deity but He, the living, the sustainer. Neither slumber nor sleep overtake Him. All that is in the heavens and the earth belongs to Him. Who can intercede with Him for someone except by His permission? He knows what lies before them and what is after them, and without His will they cannot grasp any part of His knowledge. His dominion prevails in the heavens and the earth, and their protection does not fatigue Him, and He is the exalted, the great one. So this is a fantastic passage and a passage come verse that actually explains the person of God, something that gives us a very basic introduction, and in fact, not just a basic one, we can also say a very comprehensive introduction to the person of God. And it starts off with this very important assertion, something which is the foundation of all divine religions, that there is just one God, and it is God Himself, and there is no other deity except Him. He is the living, and He is the sustainer. He is someone who has been living all ever since we can imagine. He was always there, and He will always remain. And not only is He living, He is also the sustainer, which means that He keeps people in sustenance. He provides them with sustenance. He keeps them alive, and He provides them with fodder and everything that is required for them to live. And neither some slumber nor sleep actually overtake Him, which means that He is all the time watching His creation. There's not a single instant about which it can be said that He is not watching over them. And the reason, of course, for telling us this is that it is all the time we are under the watchful gaze of the Almighty, and whether we do something privately or openly or secretly, however small it might may be, but it will be in the notice of God because He is watching all the time. And lahuma fis samawati wa ma fil ard, all that is in the heavens and the earth, it belongs to Him, which means that every single thing in this world is under His dominion. There's no other deity. They belong to no one else. And then, of course, who can intercede with Him except with His permission? This, of course, tells us with the all-important concept of intercession, that if there is going to be some support from anyone else, anyone can ask for some concession for some other soul, then this will only be with His own permission. No one will be allowed to speak on his own for someone in any manner that he would like to do. And He knows what is in front of them. He knows what is behind them. His knowledge is embracing, it surrounds them. The past, the present, the future are in His knowledge. And وَلَا يُحِيطُونَ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنْ عِلْمِهِ, that they cannot grasp any part of His knowledge except when He says so or when He allows, which means that whatever human beings have today, whatever they have, whatever knowledge they have, is something that is provided to them by God, and they can only obtain that knowledge as long as He is allowing them to do so, which means that He is basically the all-knower, the all-powerful. His knowledge is unbounding, unfathomable, and it has no limits. And His throne extends the heavens and the earth. Wasi'a kursiyyuhu samawati wal ard. We know that the word throne actually is a metaphor for His authority. So His kingdom is something that prevails over the heavens and the earth. So if this is the fact, then there cannot be any different gods for different elements of nature. You cannot have a god of water or a god of air. So the elements of nature, or the parts of this universe, or the entities that exist in it, all are answerable to Him, and none can be regarded as a deity in itself. And God is not just has not just created all these things; He's also watching over them. He is taking care of them, and his its protection and their protection does not fatigue him, and he's exalted, he's mighty. So, as far as God is concerned, you can clearly see that uh, as human beings, we are not able to grasp his being. We cannot see how he looks like, and that is why the Quran does not mention his being at all. In the hereafter, the Quran does refer to this fact that those who are the select, who will be able to go to paradise, would be able to have a glimpse of him. But in this world, we don't have the capacity to see him. But yes, we can know about him. We can know the fact that as far as God is concerned, his attributes and his dealings with his people are the ones through which we can clearly recognize him. They are mentioned in detail in the Quran. So, this is a very comprehensive verse which describes how the Almighty should be dealing and is actually dealing with His people, with His creation. There are other instances in the Quran also in which He is described, but this is one of the most comprehensive ones. And as such, this passage or this verse itself is something that gives us a lot of assurance that we have to turn to God. It is we that are required to submit to Him, to worship Him, to obey Him, and it is Him to protect us, to watch over us. And one day we will be accountable before Him. So we must also think that because He's ever present, He is always there, He's always watching over us. So whatever we do is in knowledge, and therefore nothing that we do will be not brought before our eyes. We will be given our charge sheet, we will be given our register of accounts, and then we will have to face a fate which is commensurate with our deeds. So now we come to the next segment, and this is a hadith of the Prophet. I'm just going to read the translation, and it actually points out some treasured traits of a believer. And Abu Sa'id al-Khudri reported, some people from the Ansar asked for charity from God's messenger, so he gave it to them. They again asked, and he gave, and again obliged, until he was left with nothing. So he said, whatever is with me of wealth, I did not withhold from you. So he who wants to become chaste, God will make him chaste. And he who showed contentment, God will grant him wealth. And he who asks for patience from God, God will grant him patience. And no person can be given a grant better and bigger than patience. So clearly, viewers, you can see that as far as God is concerned, the three things which are very, very effectively mentioned here is that if a person asks from God to become modest, to become a chaste person, to become a bashful person, then God is going to grant him this bashfulness, this modesty, this chastity. This is a very important trait of a human being, that he or she relies on his own or her own self as far as matters are concerned that relate to God and his own self, so or her own self. So the Almighty is someone who listens to our prayers, and a person who asks that God, please make me pure, please make me a person who does not lust after other the opposite gender. The Almighty says that that is something that I will grant you, but you have to make an effort for it. You have to come forward. You have to make yourself committed to this very important objective, that I will not lust after other people, specifically the opposite gender. I will confine myself. And the starting point of this confinement, of course, is that I will guard my gaze. I will not let it take undue liberty. And if there is anything at all that is needed in this regard, I will try my best. So remember, every prayer which God answers, He expects us first to fulfill our duty. Prayers are answered once we fulfill our duty. Prayers are answered once we do the needful. So this chastity is something that is the foundation of a family, and a family system, or a system in which the spouses, they come together in the form of an everlasting marriage bond. For that, this chastity and this modesty is something which is an integral part. And of course, if a person has developed this sensitivity towards chastity before entering into marriage, that is going to continue later on. And if this is something that has been flouted before entering into a marriage bond, then it is likely that it might continue later on as well, and this could severely dent the marriage itself, and hence it's very important to keep ourselves modest and bashful. So the next thing which is mentioned here is that he who showed contentment, God will grant him wealth. In other words, if you ask God that, please God, make us content with what I have, I am, I find myself with these resources that are sufficient for me. So if you ask for contentment, God will give you wealth, in fact. In other words, if you would like to have wealth, then ask for contentment, because whatever God will then give you would be like a bonus. It would be something that could really take care of you, and you'll be happy that you made this commitment to remain content, and God rewarded you with something so that you could also raise your standard of living to a particular extent, and at the same time be able to help the people who are underprivileged. And then the third thing which is mentioned is that he who asks for patience from God, God will grant him patience, and no person can be given a grant better and bigger than patience. So the third thing which this hadith mentions is about patience. Patience is something which is the most treasured trait. And in fact, at other instances, there are instances in the Quran in which it clearly becomes evident that paradise, or the eternal life of bliss in the next world, is actually a reward of being patient and steadfast in this world. So, patience and steadfast in scarcity, in illness, in times of strife, in times of calamity, that is something that is required of a believer. We can always be, we are, in fact, the most well behaved in times which are conducive to our own selves. But it is these testing times that when we face, that we need to come out clean as well. We should thank God for His blessings, be patient for the trials that we might be going through, because these trials are meant to take us higher and higher and loftier than before. They are an opportunity to bring us closer to God. They give us more strength. They make us give us this challenge that, yes, if God has made your life tough for you, then you have to rise to the challenge and prove equal to it. And then the final thing is something which is so beautifully said, that there is no bigger and better a grant than patience, which means that some of the I mean, it's the most important trait that you can possess. It's the biggest grant that God can give you. If you are patient, if you are steadfast, if you have this resolve, then it is something that's really going to take you miles and miles higher in life. Now we come to the third segment, and this is uh, a passage from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 11, verses 28 to 30. It says, Come to me, all you who are troubled and weighted down with care, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke on you and become like me, for I am gentle and without pride, and you will rest for your souls. For my yoke is good, and the weight I take up is not hard. So this is like Jesus telling his followers that you need to come to him, and if there is something that they are facing as difficulty, as a calamity, as a trial in life, then remember he is the one who is going to provide them with this kindness, this sympathy, this key to success in life. And it says that if you wear my yoke, which means that if you follow me, this is what Jesus is telling his disciples, then you are basically wearing the yoke of God, because I am calling you towards God. And viewers, if you are able to sift through the pages of Gospel, especially the Gospel of Matthew, you'll find such beautiful passages and such beautiful words of Jesus, peace be upon him, scattered all over the gospel, in which he calls towards righteousness, in which he calls towards sympathy, kindness, all basic human values in such a profound way that your mind and your soul is stirred. You feel like following what he has said, because the way that he speaks is so powerful. Most of his conversation, you will see, is steeped in parables. He gives examples, everyday examples. He tells people how they can become effective human beings, good human beings, and good followers, as well as uh, people who can really take care of each other and really make each other feel that they are there for them. So now we come to the fourth segment, which is basically uh, moderated segment. Normally, we do have this uh, discussion that we go on every in every all of our study circle sessions. So this is a topic that I mean, it's difficult at times to share one bad habit, but if people would like to share what one bad habit that they'd like to get rid of, it might help all of us to maybe look into our own selves and do the same. So over to you, Mariam.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saleem. Before we take any raised hands, which I'm looking forward to everyone's participation, I'll get this discussion going. So, one thing I've realized recently as I'm nearing the end of my hopefully PhD is that because of the stress, I find myself getting angry very often at things that should not make me angry. But I just at times I feel horrible because then I lash out at my parents, for example, and
Mhm.
they're saying very reasonable things, and I then find myself getting really angry. And we have had many sessions about how to control your
Mhm.
anger and, like,
Mhm.
taking a deep breath, taking a little
Mhm.
pause, maybe
Mhm.
drinking a bit of water or sitting down if you're standing up, and etc. But when
Mhm.
you're in the moment, these thoughts just escape you.
Mhm.
And I think
Mhm.
what going forward, I'm realizing is maybe I'll have a sticky note or something near me, or just something that reminds me, like, hey, take a breath, spend 5 seconds thinking about it, and then
Mhm.
say what you have to say. But don't get angry about it. Don't
Mhm.
immediately have a reaction. So that's
Right.
what I'm realizing, and this
Uh-huh.
is something that I need to work towards bettering myself at. But
And
yeah.
yes, Mariam,
Mhm.
yeah, I think this is one of the things that many of us would like to do at the same time because anger gets the better of us and we need to really control it. But one thing that might serve as a reminder and might also be helpful that remember that in its origin and in its essence, anger is basically a positive emotion because you see, if it is expressed at the right time, for example, if you look at people who are being oppressed, maybe or someone who's passing through some tough times because not because it's from I mean something that he's facing normally, but because maybe from a family member, maybe a colleague, maybe a office person. So you see, these are the things in which people they get depressed because they feel as if the world has turned around them or turned against them. So what has to be done that when you see people being oppressed, when you see people being cheated, when you see people being I mean, handed down all sorts of evil things, then I mean, our blood should start to boil because we would not tolerate people going through such problems in life because of how other people behave with them. So all that we need to do is to channelize that anger because that anger is gives you that extra energy. It gives you that extra inside perk, which just needs to be diverted in the right direction. So, just as we need to control anger, at times you can use that infinite amount of energy that arises in you because of that spike to actually think of ways and means in which you can divert that energy into creating something positive.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. What I meant was the immediate reaction that comes
Correct.
after getting angry,
Yeah.
and that is very difficult to control. But if you can channel that in a positive way and get
Mm-hmm.
something good out of it,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. That's the goal I think that we'd all like to have.
Mm-hmm.
Noshad Shefkat, please go ahead. And I want to see more hands. We only have one hand so far.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Saab. Dr. Saab,
Walaikum
I
assalam.
want to get rid of the habit of not being able to say no. And
Mm,
this sometimes, lands me in awkward situations. And
mm,
I feel like I would like to help everybody. So anybody asking me for something, I'm unable to say no, and
mm,
sometimes I end up at the wrong end of the stick for that, because
mm,
then I can't possibly come up to his expectations and handle the situation. So I would need advice from you as to how to
mm.
get overcome this habit. Because if I said no initially,
Yeah.
that would be
Hmm.
much better than keeping somebody lingering on and then
Hmm.
ultimately not being able to come up to his expectations.
Yes, absolutely right. That initially you must realize that this is basically being over courteous. It's that courteous personality in you that makes you uh, make a commitment, and most of the time, you would make that commitment by saying that, well, because the other person is asking you for something, then I should try my best to honor my word and fulfill my duty towards that person. So basically, it springs uh, from the from courtesy. I would say it's that courteous thing that in you. But yes, we need to realize our limitations as well, because in spite of trying to fulfill as much as we can, we still are human beings. We still are confined to so many other things. We have our shortcomings, we have time limitations, we have energy limitations, we have family obligations. So I think that this it needs a little bit of courage, and that courage should come from this realization that if I am not able to fulfill my duty towards my promise, to my commitment, then of course this will bring a bad name to me. This is something that's going to not be in my favor, and so I need to express myself in a way that I'm polite. So polite refusal is something that we need to learn. That polite refusal is based on a true assessment of our own capacity, of our own time, and whatever we have available to us. And this courage, of course, is something which is acquired from, as I said, from this realization that if I'm not able to fulfill my commitment, not only will it bring a bad name to me, but also because that task would be left unfulfilled, so the person would also be in the lurch, the person to whom we promised something. So I think it's just a matter of realizing the consequences and how it can affect your own reputation in a negative way, and at the same time, the person himself who you were trying to honor, it would be he would be depending on you on certain task, and that task would be left unfulfilled.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saleem. I would like to add, I don't know if this is a good strategy, but I feel like this is most people pleasers have to go through this. And I found a little of like a little trick to this is that if I'm finding it really difficult to say no, I try to be like, okay, I can do this part, but I can't do this part. So like, meet
Mhm.
somewhere with a little bit of a compromise. I don't,
Correct.
this might not work in every situation,
Mm.
but
Mm.
perhaps,
Yes.
it's easier
Yeah.
than saying no straight
Mm.
up until you get better and
Yeah.
practice saying no.
Yeah. That's
Thank you.
also a
Thank you
wise
very much.
advice, I would say. Yeah.
Thank you.
So
Thank you
you.
very much.
Yeah.
All right, next up we have Hamza. Please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Shehzad.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Okay, so this is my first time. So I would like to ask you for suggestion regarding the habits. I'm going to start my PhD after 1 month. So what are the
Mm-hmm.
habits? I assume you have already done PhD. That's fine. No? So what are the habits that a PhD candidate should adopt, and what are the habits that a PhD candidate should avoid, according to your experience?
Well, Hamza, at the moment in this segment, we are discussing a specific issue, and that is related to something that all of us would like to share if we want to, and that is, it concerns one bad habit that we'd like to get rid of. So your question is more of a general in nature, so that we can take up once we are through with this discussion. So if you could share anything, if you want to share anything, it would be at this time the fact that there is anything that you'd like to subtract from your personality, if you'd like to share anything. Otherwise, the question that you have posed, inshallah, will be taken up in a while.
Yeah, Hamza.
Okay, I would.
Oh yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to share something. So
Mm-hmm.
while I was working in the UK, so
Mm-hmm.
I would often get to hear this that I'm lazy. I was working in a food franchise. It was like quite a big
Mm-hmm.
factory, but it never happened that I was late in my work. I always finished before the other people. But I think the reason I was called lazy was I wouldn't act as if like the world is going to end, and I have to
Mm-hmm.
run fast. Like I would be looking calm outwardly, and I'm not sure if
Mm-hmm.
this should be considered as a bad habit, or maybe
Mm.
I'm being overcome, or maybe I'm not taking things seriously. It hasn't
Mhm.
ever like affected me in the wrong way. So maybe I wanted to share this.
Okay, thank you, Hamza.
Thank you. I think that's something that most of us would love to have, to not
Mm.
crumble under pressure. So I think that's a
Mm.
really positive attribute. If you were called lazy for that, I think that is,
I think that's a miss.
yeah, that's they were probably jealous.
Yeah.
One more thing that I would like to add is, I don't like the culture of people just, always saying that they're tired and busy, and that just has become such a norm.
Mm.
Especially in the US, I feel like it's just such a norm to always be tired and always be
Mm. Mm.
busy, and
Mm.
that's what everyone ever says. At least in the places that I'm around. So for having someone who's like, hey, I'm not crumbling under pressure and I can manage my work fine and get it done
Mm.
without, complaining all the time. That is huge. And I wish that was more normal.
Correct.
So don't take that negatively. Next up is
Mhm.
Ahmed. Please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum.
Right. So,
Uh, I would say that I want to get rid of laziness, or you can say that I'm not consuming my time very well.
okay.
While I was at work, I was quite busy.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm not doing much of the work due to
Mm-hmm.
age and some problems, health.
Mm-hmm.
But mentally, I feel I should be doing more positive work, which I don't find any good ways to do that. So I just want,
Okay. I think this is again something we can relate, all of us can relate to, that time management and avoiding procrastination is a challenge that all of us have, especially the younger generation. And there are a lot of distractions also. So basically, it's like having a timetable for your life, having a specific uh, objective that you are able to fulfill. You see, most of us, we are living a life which is without any mission or something that we can call a target in life. So we need to spend target oriented lives, and we must set ourselves a target in life. And these targets could be short term or they could be long term, and they should be commensurate and in line with one's own ability and aptitude. So if you have this mission oriented approach towards life, uh, the time, I mean, you'll not get the time to be lazy. You'll not find time for laziness, because now you'll be driven by your mission. And that mission is something that should discover, as I said, on the basis of your aptitude, your inner talent, because what you have from inside and what you have as a habit is something that's really going to be affecting you in a positive way. And if you just need to explore it more, you just need to spend more time with it. Who knows that you'll be able to contribute something extraordinary.
Thank you very
yeah.
much.
Like, can you just for example give any short-term target
Yes, I mean,
to
this is
achieve?
something that you need to ask for your own self. You see, targets are something that should be set in accordance with your circumstances, your personality, and the way you would go about doing them. That is the time that you have. So one big target, I mean, one target that all of us can set ourselves. I can just refer to one target that is a common target, and that is uh, is something that is like a mission, or should be a mission to all of us, is to serve humanity, to undertake anything. It could be using your time, your talent, your energy, your organization skills, whatever you have, to serve people who are underprivileged, to do some community service, to think that what best you can do, maybe connect people so that they can find jobs, maybe help out people with education, maybe do something for people around you. So basically, it's like dividing your time in a way that whenever you get a free time, you're doing something for the cause of humanity. And I think this is one area or one target that all of us can set ourselves. And the reason is that this sensitivity towards humanity is ingrained in all of us. All of us are part of this large human family. All of us are the children of Adam and Eve. We have this natural inclination of helping out each other. It's just a question of being more attentive to that call that we have from our inside, and being more aware of our surroundings and also aware of what best we can do for people who are underprivileged and who are around us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the suggestions, Dr. Saleem. Ammar Rasul, please go ahead.
जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम डॉक्टर साहब
Walaikum salam.
डॉक्टर साहब first of all because I haven't connected in a really long time I would like to congratulate you on your award that you won from your institute which Ghamidi Saab gave you and the beautiful words that he said about you um,
Thank
I
you.
want to congratulate you on that. I don't think that anybody could have gotten a more beautiful praise from Ghamidi Saab, the words that he used about you. Secondly, sir, very quickly, I want to say that a participant in this group, a regular participant in the past, Api Ruhi, is my mother, and she is not doing very well these days. Her health has deteriorated, and I would just like if everyone can, send a small prayer her way.
Definitely, we'll pray for her well-being and health, and please convey our best regards and good wishes and lots of prayers from all the participants here. I do recall her name very well, and she has been a regular participant, and she used to ask questions and also participate in our sessions. So a very deep feeling of praying to God that God blesses her with a speedy recovery and a lasting recovery.
Amin, sir. Thank you much. Thank you very much, sir. So my question or my what I want to share about what I think my weakness is that a lot of the times I have a huge feeling with close personal relations of mine, where in my own view, and I might be wrong, and maybe others don't see it that way, but in my own view, I feel like I go the extra mile and I put in a lot of effort and even sacrifice my own selfish needs for those who are very close to me. They can be family members or they can be very close friends and colleagues. But so obviously this thought also maybe is problematic, and you should correct me if that is the case. But the problem is that then I expect people to reply in kind, or to have the same kind, or to give me the same kind of special status in their lives, because I have given them that special status. And when I find that people do not respond in kind, or people don't even sometimes realize that that you are making this effort for them and stretching yourself, in many cases for them. There is a lot of bitterness that builds within me, and although I understand that it is wrong of me to do something and then expect the same, from a religious point of view or even a simple moral point of view, I should just do without expecting returns for it, worldly returns for it of the same kind. But still, I can't help myself. I feel very disappointed. I feel betrayed. I feel like all of my effort has gone to waste. Sometimes I will become very angry. Sometimes I will fight. Sometimes I will do the ultimate sin of reminding the other person, that what kind of relationship do we have? And I feel that that's the worst thing that you can do, that if you do some good for somebody and you're constantly stepping out of your way to do good for them, then you also have to remind them of it, because they have no realization of it. And even when I'm doing it, instantly afterwards, I have this very clear realization that I have committed a great sin by, reminding them of what I do. But I can't help myself. This is a cyclical thing. I have conversations with myself where I tell myself that I have to stop doing this, but it is a cyclical thing, and I keep falling into the same trap over and over again.
So I think one thing is that you know that there is something wrong. I mean, what I'm trying to say is that you know that this is something that should not happen, and you are absolutely clear that whenever you do a righteous act, some good deed, basically it is to please God. It's always to lift your own spirits, and it's not to I mean, it's not as much as to find a response from other people, as is the case that you should be pleasing God and earning reward from Him. So it's just like diverting your attention more towards uh, reward from God than any reward or response from people. And this can only happen if you continue to remind yourself that whatever I'm doing, it's not because I'm uh, eliciting or would like to elicit a response from people in the same way. For example, if I'm kind to them, they should be kind to me. If I'm doing something for them, they should at least respond in the same way. Because you see, this is how we are made in this world, are sent in this world, that people don't live up to our expectations, and many a time they do things that are absolutely strange. We don't realize that what has happened, what has gone wrong with them, and it's a very common courtesy that if I do something good or right, then I should expect the same in return. So yes, I mean, the expectation is correct, but the thing is that because we are put through this world, put through a test in this world, things don't happen according to our expectations, and people are not always in the same mood or in the same vein, I would say, as we are. Also, at times, perceptions are different. You might be doing something good in your own way, and the other person might be perceiving it in a different way. And this happens all the time. Sometimes you do good, and the other person feels that you are doing good, not per se, no, not doing good per se, but because maybe you have a objective, and maybe you have some ulterior motive to that. So these are all kinds of things that go in the minds of people, and so it is here that we have to realize that when we do something good, it is primarily ourselves that is going to gain from that, and that gain that we need to get is not that response from that person, but the pleasure of God and the reward from God. If I did what was right, I did what was correct, and I do something, when I go in life and I do something, then my expectation is always hinged on the response of God and not on the response of people. And God's response is going to be always in your favor. The only thing is that it might be deferred.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Also, very quickly, I just want to send a prayer your way, sir. I hope that everything is good in your life and there is no cause for sadness whatsoever. And may you have good health and even more success. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to add a little bit extra to like what Ammar, Rasul, and Hamza. I noticed that there was some commonality in terms of we do work, but then other people don't realize that we've done this much, and then they don't respond in kind. And I wonder if there might also be some lack of communication, perhaps, in terms of not
That's
reminding
possible.
them of the work that you've done, but sort of letting people know, like, gently, like, oh, I was busy doing this, so I took the time out to do this, but I could do this much only, something
Correct.
vague like that, but just so that they're aware that you have other things going on in your life and you're taking the time out to do XYZ for the other person so that they can appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Because it would be amazing to only rely on Allah, and that's the ultimate goal, to not expect anything in kind. But sometimes it gets really hard to do good deeds if you feel that you're unappreciated and you're not being valued.
Correct.
So
Yes. Thank you.
we have another one in the chat, and this says that I have this bad habit, like I never speak rudely or hurt anyone first. But if somebody hurts me, my reaction becomes really harsh and loud. Am I wrong for reacting when someone treats me unfairly? I wonder if Allah thinks I'm bad for that.
So you see, we have been informed by the Quran that if you are wronged in some way, if you suffer something from at the hands of other people, then there are two responses that should emanate from you. One is that you can pay back in the same term, in the same coin, in the same extent, and the other one is to try to forgive that person, because that forgiveness might change that person, and also it is something that would earn a lot of reward for you, because now you're showing that patience in the wake of humiliation at times. So remember that it's not always that about patience. At times, because of the fact that you are really frustrated and you feel that the other person is incorrigible and he needs to be ticked off. So you have been given this leverage, this latitude, that if you would like to reply in the same vein as the person did to you, you are given this leverage, I would say. But then you should not be doing anything which is immoral. So that is should always be within the bounds of morality. But yes, if you're able to forgive someone, that would be the best. And again, you see that forgiveness is something that comes through your attachment to God. Remember, all these human weaknesses, if they have any remedy, it is by attaching ourselves to God so much that we forgive people for the sake of God. We don't take any revenge from people for the sake of God. We always think that if people are doing something which is unbecoming, it is because they are falling short in their duty, and they need to be paid attention to. And that is your contribution towards humanity, in which you don't take revenge at times, you don't talk back in the same terms, but you show magnanimity, you show a large heart. And that large heart can create a lot of opportunities for your own self. It can bring you closer to God, and at the same time make that other person realize that he or she is not doing the right thing.
Hamza, please go ahead.
Okay, so my question is about the being of God. So since Quran doesn't talk much about the being of God, just the attributes. So I also read some narrations in which the people were involved discussing about the being of God, and the Prophet, peace be upon him, disliked it. So, like being a student of science, I often come across friends or people who, like for them, if there's no proof of the being, attributes have like no meanings, no sense. They would question like, if God is all loving, why do people die in the natural disasters? Why kids die?
Yeah.
So, how to talk to such people, just to convey the truth of Islam, not to mock them or belittle them, who want the proof of the being of the God.
So yes, you see, we've discussed this question a number of times, that one of the biggest things that have plagued humankind and driven them to atheism, and at times driven people like Buddha to form a new religion like Buddhism, is that they are not able to reconcile the misery in this world with the mercy of God. And as you said, that thing, people make this point: if God is merciful, if He is just, then why is He tolerating a lot of misery in this world? Not only is He tolerating, but in fact, it seems that He is sending misery on people by calamities through earthquakes and typhoons and tornadoes and these natural disasters. And the Quran has given a simple answer to this, and it has said that if you look at this world in a way that you think that this world is a end in itself, then yes, it cannot be explained. Because in this world, misery abounds. We find people who are good, but they fail in this world. We find people who are evil, but they succeed in this world. And we see so many people suffering injustice who apparently should not have gone through these sufferings. So the Quran tells us that in this world, whether you're living in good circumstances and whether you're living in calamity or in difficulty, it's not because you have earned it. It is because you are being put through a trial. And this trial is that God would like to select individuals from this world who are pure, who are able to fight that trial. And that trial has two facets to it. One of them is that how you behave when you're facing adversities. And the second facet is how you behave when you're given comfort. So in the first case, the trial is about patience. And in the second case, in which you are given bounties of God, is the trial is about gratitude. So these are the two trials that we are put through. Rich people or wealthy people or people who are passing through good circumstances, they are put through the trial of gratitude. And people who are facing adversities and calamities, they are put through the trial of patience and perseverance. And this is a trial which of course will have a consequence, and that consequence is not going to appear in this world. And for that, God has created, or He shall create another world. And that particular world will be the place in which everything will be put to scrutiny, and people will be rewarded or punished eternally. And it would be here that it will make sense that God's mercy will manifest itself on that day completely. And that is why The Quran has said that it is on the day of judgment that God's mercy is going to completely manifest itself. You should not look at God's mercy in this world, because in this world, mercy is not something that is driven by merit, so to speak. Merit means that if you do good, you'll reap good. If you do bad, you'll reap bad. That's not how this world is going to work. In the hereafter, of course, the principle would be that whatever you do in this world will be rewarded or punished according to your own deeds. So that is the answer that you need to give your atheist friends. But remember, this is something that needs other background details as well, because atheists, they have several other questions which are, they are you can say they come in a package, and one of them is this misery and mercy. Mercy and misery problem, in which you're not able to reconcile God's mercy with the miseries that are found in this world. And for this, of course, as you can see, that you have to present a case for a new world, which is called the hereafter. And that itself now would be something that you would need to understand, and how we can present the case that there is going to be another world, and what makes it something very plausible. And the Quran speaks about it at a number of occasions, how this is a possibility, how God is going to recreate us, and how our own conscience bears witness to us, that our conscience, which is given to us, is like a mini court of justice, which is found in our own selves. That conscience tells us that the objective of good must be good, and the objective of bad must be bad. But that doesn't happen in this world. So somehow that incompleteness which is found in our own inner self tells us that if there is some objective of giving us this conscience, it can only be once it manifests itself completely, and that is goodness should be rewarded with goodness, and evil should be rewarded with evil. And if this is not happening in this world, then there is something missing. There is something more to it, and that more to it is what we just refer to as the hereafter. So I think it's like a small exercise that you would need to do in this regard, and it all depends how you present your case and how you can put forth this whole premise. But primarily, you need to make them understand that they should not look at this world as the place in which they're going to find justice, because this is not a place of justice. It's not created for justice. It's created as a trial and test.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saleem. Hamza, if you have a follow-up question, please raise your hand again. We have a bunch of questions, so we're going to get going. Sulaiman Ahmed, please go ahead.
जी, हमारे यहाँ कहा जाता है कि एक हरफ पे 10 नेकियां कुरान मजीद पढ़ने की मगर गांधी साहब कहते हैं कि कुरान मजीद बगैर तर्जुमे के पढ़ने का कोई सवाब नहीं है। तो इस बारे में जो रवायात हमारे यहाँ सुनाई जाती हैं, और खुसूसन जब हम हिफ्ज़ करते हैं, तो हमें कहा जाता है कि आप क़यामत के दिन वालिदैन को सोने का ताज पहनाएंगे और सीढ़ियाँ चढ़ते जाएंगे और कुरान पढ़ते जाएंगे। जहाँ कुरान ख़त्म होगा वहाँ आपकी सीढ़ियाँ ख़त्म हो जाएंगी, आप जन्नत में दाखिल हो जाएंगे। तो आप इसके बारे में क्या कहेंगे? और हमारे यहाँ कहते हैं कि चलो ठीक है कि समझ के पढ़ना ठीक है और बगैर समझ के पढ़ना ठीक नहीं है, मगर एटलीस्ट आप बगैर समझे कुरान पढ़ते हैं तो उसका भी सवाब तो मिलता है ना। तो इसके बारे में आप क्या कहेंगे?
So would you like my answer to be in Urdu or in English?
In Urdu.
Okay. तो देखिए, ये जो रवायात हैं जो ये बताती हैं कि एक लफ्ज़ का जो अजर है वो 10 नेकियों के बराबर होगा, ये हमारे यहाँ ज़बान ज़ादे आलम है। इसका मतलब ये है कि आप हर एक से ये सुन रहे होते हैं, ये मशहूर हो गई हुई हैं, और जितनी ज़्यादा ये मशहूर हो गई हैं उतनी ही ज़्यादा ये बेबुनियाद हैं। इन रवायात की जब आप तहकीक करेंगे तो आपको मालूम होगा कि ये नबी सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम तक इस्तनाद के साथ और सनद के साथ और ऑथेंटिसिटी के साथ, यकीन के साथ नहीं पहुँचती। सो बदकिस्मती से होता ही है कि बाज़ चीज़ें मशहूर हो जाती हैं, और उस मशहूरी की वजह से आप एक काम कर रहे होते हैं, तहकीक करें तो मालूम होगा कि उनकी कोई बुनियाद नहीं है। तो कुरान मजीद से अगर आप कोई फ़ायदा उठाना चाहते हैं तो उससे वो फ़ायदा उठाइए जिसके लिए वो आया है, जिसके बारे में वो कहता है कि मैं इसलिए आया हूँ, वो है हिदायत। और हिदायत, आप जब कुरान पढ़ेंगे तो हिदायत आपके दिमाग में कॉन्सेप्ट्स क्लियर होंगे। उन कॉन्सेप्ट्स को क्लियर करने के बाद जब आप कोई अमल करेंगे तो सवाब और अजर उससे मिलेगा। मसलन आपको कुरान पढ़ के अगर ये महसूस हुआ कि मुझे लोगों की मदद करनी चाहिए, तो ये तो आपका इंफॉर्मेशन है जो आप तक पहुंची है। महज इंफॉर्मेशन का पहुंच जाना जो है, ये तो अजर का बायस नहीं बनेगा ना। अजर का बायस ये बनेगा कि कुरान ने जो हिदायत आपको दी है इस मामले में, उस इंफॉर्मेशन पर आप अमल करें। तो कुरान मजीद की जो अजर वाला पहलू है वो तमाम का तमाम इस जगह पर मुनहसर है कि जो हिदायत आपने उससे पाई है उसको आपने कितना फॉलो किया है। वरना पढ़ के आप क्या कर रहे हैं, आप पढ़ के सिर्फ इंफॉर्मेशन अपने दिमाग में लेके आ रहे हैं। यानी अल्लाह मियां कह रहा है सच बोलें, आपको पता चल गया सच बोलना, अल्लाह ताला चाह रहे हैं सच बोलें, लेकिन आप बोल नहीं रहे, तो आपको आपके पता होने का कैसे अजर हो जाएगा? यानी महज कॉन्सेप्ट के क्लियर होने का कि भाई मुझे अल्लाह मियां ने बता दिया कि मैंने सच बोलना है, ये तो आपको एक इन्फॉर्मेशन मिली है ना कुरान से। तो कुरान को जब आप पढ़ रहे होते हैं तो आप इन्फॉर्मेशन गैदर कर रहे होते हैं चीज़ों के बारे में। तो गैदर करना तो पहला स्टेप है। उसके बाद अगला स्टेप ये है कि आप उसको करने की कोशिश करें। हाँ, ना कर पाएँ, किसी वजह से कोई उज़र आ जाए, तब भी अल्लाह ताला जो है उसका अजर देते हैं बाज़ पहलुओं से। लेकिन इन्फॉर्मेशन का दिमाग में आ जाने से अजर कैसे इंसान को मिल सकता है, क्योंकि आपने उसको फॉलो तो किया नहीं है अभी। तो ये एक बड़ी कॉमन सेंस की बात है, और इसी वजह से ये ज़रूरी है कि आपने कुरान मजीद को पढ़ने के हवाले से कोई अजर पाना है, तो उसको इसी पहलू से आप पा सकते हैं कि आप उसको फॉलो करें। और ये जो आपने रवायात दूसरी कोट की हैं, जैसे एक वालिदैन को ताज पहनाया जाएगा, इनमें से ये भी बहुत सारी कमज़ोर रवायात हैं इनके अंदर। और ये बात कि एक शहीद को या हाफिज़ को ये कहा जाएगा कि वो सीढ़ियाँ चढ़े और जहाँ वो रुक जाएगा वही उसका मुकाम होगा जन्नत में, वहाँ पे भी कौन सा हाफिज़ मुराद है? यानी वो हाफिज़ मुराद है कि जिसको जो कुरान जितना याद था, उस याद करने के नतीजे में उसने इस पे कितना अमल किया। यानी महज हाफिज का याद कर लेना कुरान, आप खुद सोचिए ना। यानी एक है इंफॉर्मेशन आपने जमा कर ली और आपको कॉन्सेप्ट क्लियर हो गया, और एक आपने पूरी किताब जुबानी याद कर ली। वो एफर्ट करके आपने अपने दिमाग में उसको बिठा लिया। ये तो एक बुनियादी पहला स्टेप है। इस स्टेप के बाद उसका इजहार होना है ना। अगर वो इजहार नहीं हुआ, आपने उस चीज को तो याद कर लिया, तो ये हम कह सकते हैं कि अल्लाह ताला उस एफर्ट का आपको कुछ सलाह दे दें कि आपने एक कोशिश की, लेकिन आपने जो इससे बहुत इस कोशिश का असल मकसद था वो आपने इख्तियार ही नहीं किया। आपने उस चीज को हिफ्ज भी कर लिया, लेकिन उसका जो कंटेंट है ना उसने कभी गौर किया, ना आपने कभी उस पर अमल किया। तो ये कुछ नुक्ते हैं जिस पे मैं चाहूंगा कि आप गौर करें, आपके रास्ता खुल जाएगा इंशाल्लाह।
शुक्रिया जी।
Dr. Saleem, Ammar Rasul, please go ahead.
Dr. Saab, my question was regarding the nature of God's rule or the basis of judgment with us in the hereafter. So, sir, my question or confusion comes from the Quran very clearly saying that believing in Jesus as part of God or part God, or believing in him as some kind of a deity or the son of God is shirk. But at the same time, in other parts of the Quran, the Quran is saying that if you are a Christian, but if you believe in God and you do good deeds, and if you believe in the hereafter, then your reward is with me and you have nothing to worry about. So obviously I'm paraphrasing these concepts and beliefs. So sir, and also at another point in time, the Quran says that we have to stand with the truth no matter what. So sir, when I put these things together in my mind, the idea becomes that if you believe something to be true, no matter what that might be, then you have to stand by it and you have to remain committed to it till the end and live your life as if that is the absolute truth. But obviously, if God makes you aware of His presence and the reality of religion as we see it or as the Quran sees it, and still you reject it based on worldly reasons, then there is punishment. But if there is a Christian or a Hindu or anybody who believes anything, somebody who believes in the Buddha, but genuinely in the heart of their hearts, they feel that this is the absolute truth and we are on the right path, then Allah Ta'ala will reward that person, because Allah Ta'ala has promised that He will not do any wrong to anybody. So He has the ability to look into our hearts, and if in somebody's hearts the truth is that Buddha is God, let's say for example, then he or she would be treated on that basis. Sir, is my understanding correct?
No, this is not entirely correct actually. You see, what the thing is that God has given us this basic instinct according to which God expects us to be critical thinkers. So after invoking your critical thinking, I mean, it's not just a question of believing in what you're born with. There's a step, one more step that has to be added. And that is whatever you inherit from your parents or your society, have you put it to critical review or not? If after putting your views which you inherited through this lens of critique, you come to a particular conclusion, then yes, I would say that is something which is plausible. But if you're born with something and you're not just willing to critically analyze it, because you see now that the Quran has made its history known in this world, and the Almighty says that, well, at least you need to take a look at the claim of people who say that they have the truth with them, the true word of God with them, and that word is something which is found in this world. And if they, I mean, they have to give some sort of attention to the Quran. They can reject it after some intellectual reasoning. That is okay. But being careless to it and not even thinking, well, that this is worthy of any attention, that might be something that would not go in their favor. Because you see, there is a book in this world today which is calling them to the fact that it is the last book of God. It is preserved in its ultimate original words. And they need to just examine this claim, whether it's the last book or not, whether it's preserved or not. So at least they need to give this much attention to the book, that they examine the claim that the book is making. And if after examination they come to a different conclusion, then yes, this could be one way of looking at things, that whatever they then believe is going to be the basis of their judgment. But if they don't even look at this and don't give it proper attention, then that is something that would mean that they have stuck to their original beliefs, and they have not opened up the meter in their mind that leads them to critical thinking. Because you see, critical thinking itself, what is it? It's actually analyzing your own beliefs and looking at some of the other beliefs which are present, which will automatically make them aware that there is a book which is giving a different message. So that critical thinking has to be applied by every mature person. And after that application, I would suggest, or I would assume, and I would believe that wherever or whatever would be the beliefs of that person would be something which God will take, I mean, would accept, I would say. And that is also something that should be a continuous process, because you see, critical thinking is an ongoing process. You cannot just close your mind once you have reached a conclusion. So it's that quest for the truth, basically, which should be a yearning. It's a lifelong yearning. And if you have that lifelong yearning, then I would suggest that whatever conclusion a person would reach would hopefully be something that would be acceptable to God.
All right, so thank you.
Thank you very much. Akram Batisa, please go ahead. Walaikum assalam. Your voice is very low. If you could get closer, please, to the mic.
Is it better now?
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum assalam.
Sir, lately I have developed this habit of dragging religion in my social conversations, and some friends of mine, they get irritated by it. Some very good friends of mine, and assume that they have not read Quran, or they read Quran, they get irritated, and they are my age, like in 80s, in the early 80s or late 70s. So I want to correct my habit, or guide me, that the 3-4 friends of mine, there's all like 78 to 83 years old, and they get so irritated that sometimes they shout back at me that, what the heck is wrong with you? You always preaching us. I'm not preaching. I just somehow, without and deliberately, I will say, well, no, Quran says this about that, and this ayah, that. So they get, so please guide me in this, because I do not lose their friendship, and but I do not enjoy their, or they do not enjoy my company anymore, because this.
Actually, you need to realize that you need to pick and choose your audience specific to the content you'd like to discuss with them. So if there is an audience that you have that does not like religious discussions, please avoid those discussions with them. You can have those discussions with someone else or other people who enjoy them. So with your friends, you can discuss the weather, you can discuss sports, you can discuss politics, or so many other things. So remember, it's the sign of a person's own wisdom that he only discusses those things with people who are around them, which they are able to understand and reciprocate. So I would suggest that it's like more of stock taking and on introspection, that remind yourself that, I mean, if I'm dragging religion into a debate with people who are not very fond of discussing these things, then all this will be proving counterproductive. So I am dragging in religion so that they are able to listen to me. But on the other hand, what is happening is exactly the opposite. So it is me who has to realize, or I who have to realize, that I must withhold myself in this area. And if I really would like to discuss religion, then let me choose people who would like religion to be discussed. So it's a choice that I have to make. I mean, no one can change what you have in mind, but yes, the will that you have in your own self to make an impact on people and to make yourself realize that if you are going to do something, then it's not going to be any service to religion. Because if these people start showing aversion to religion or maybe hating it, then that will not be a service, it will be a disservice.
The problem is that there are very few people left my age who are still alive. And then
Maybe you can make some online friends. You can make some online friends. Maybe you can go to the Islamic center near you. You see, you can find people who like religion or who like discussion on religion, and it's just a question of making friends with them. Maybe you can find people of other religion around you as well. And I mean, that's an effort that we have to do.
You know, if I was in your circle, I'd be coming to you too, because I love hearing. Because for me, having someone older, you know, with life experience, also talk from a religious perspective, that's huge. Most people around me that are wiser don't come at things from a religious perspective. So I really appreciate that living here. So
we have two
and
groups.
you're also US based, so maybe there are like young ones that I would love to listen to you.
No, I have joined two groups like for few years. One is Saturday morning group. We call it after Fajr. We sit down and we discuss on Zoom. They are from different countries and stuff. And then one we have every third Friday. We have there's all retired people sitting there, and we discuss Quran. But those two halkas they are all associates, but my closer friend that we know for years. Those are the ones that irritate me, or I irritate them. Those are the
I think you just change the topic with them. Instead of discussing religion, there are 101 other things that you can discuss with them, and that's the only way out.
All right. Up to our next question. Agha Abbas, please go ahead.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Yep, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Saab. Sir, thanks very much for your effort you're doing about Islam. I really appreciate that. So my question today is about Hadith sciences. I watched your video very recently. You talk about Ram Hurmuzi, some scholar I never heard before. So I looked into it a little bit, and what confuses me was that it says that he was the pioneer of methodology of Hadith and sciences, which confuses me actually. I thought Imam Muslim, Imam Bukhari, they use some sort of a methodology and sciences as well to write that, compile all the hadiths. Can you put some light on it? What's the difference between them, Imam Bukhari, Imam Muslim, Ram Hurmuzi, Khatib al-Baghdadi, Ibn Salah? What is the difference in their work? If you could put some light on it. Thank you.
So Ibn Salah and Ram Hurmuzi are the same people. I mean, they're the same person. It's just that their full name is Ibn Salah Ram Hurmuzi. So you see, there are two types of hadith scholars that have always remained in our ummah. So one of them are compilers of hadith. They compile narratives, like Imam Muslim, like Imam Bukhari, like Imam Tirmidhi. So these are the canonical collections that we have in our repositories. Then there is another type of people who basically give you knowledge about the sciences of hadith, which means that how you can analyze hadith, what are the principles of acceptance and rejection of hadith, what exactly is the history of hadith, how are the books compiled. So you see, the science of hadith is a very broad discipline. It encompasses an introduction to hadith. It gives you how various muhaddisun existed, what were their histories, what are the areas that they lived in, what are the methods of hadith, how hadiths were concocted in history. So this is what is the basic topic of Khatib Baghdadi and Ibn Salah and many others who were more concerned about the science of hadith. But compilers like Bukhari, Muslim, Tirmizi, Ibn Majah, they were basically collectors of hadith. They would compile anthologies. So their purpose was to go to various areas and collect various narratives from various teachers. They would study with them and gather those narratives and write them down, and they compiled a book for them. But there's another branch of these scholars who busied themselves regarding introducing people to the science of hadith, which I just said is much more vast. It involves its history, its language, its background, its peoples. It's like a compendium on hadith.
On that, I have a follow-up question, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Which is Imam Bukhari? Obviously, some people say he has some sort of a method whom to collect and what are the narrators. And then after that, Imam Muslim wrote his Muqaddamah, and in Muqaddamah he did highlight the narrators whom you can't take hadith from, and he said there are many zaif hadiths. So
Right.
what I am saying is that there was some sort of a method and science they use as well, didn't they?
So you see, that is just one part of the science of hadith. The science of hadith does not merely deal with the acceptance and rejection principles. So yes, Imam Bukhari, Imam Muslim, they had those principles, and they elaborated those principles in their books, in their introductions, the muqaddimas. But they content themselves on this. That's all that they had, and that was also in a very brief and rudimentary form. So as hadith studies evolved and people came to the fore, so they decided to give a much broader introduction, and one chapter, you can say, of that introduction was the science of acceptance and rejection. That's just one small part. The science of hadith is a very broad thing, and if you pick up any book on the science of hadith, you'll see that this is just one chapter, which is normally organized. Other than that, as I said, you'll have the history of hadith, you'll have people being described, you'll find the science of Jara and Tadil, which means what are the principles in which you would be doing Jar and Tadil in a scientific way, in a more progressed and in a nuanced way. And at the same time, there was a period in our history, the 4th century and 5th century, in which a lot of narratives were concocted and fabricated. So they will introduce you to people who were responsible for them. And then at the same time, they will introduce you to the works of hadith scholars. So typically, Ibn Salah would tell us that amongst the main scholars are Bukhari and Muslim, and this is how they compiled their works, this is their history, this is the place they were born in, and how they spent their lives, and of course the methodology as well. So the science of history, as I said, science of hadith is a very broad thing. It's like saying there's a science of the Quran. The science of the Quran or the Quranic sciences, it deals with so many topics. But if you look at the branch of the Quran or the Quranic sciences that deals with the transmission of the Quran, so that you'll find that's a very small part of the whole science. So basically, as I said, the science or the introduction to a particular subject is a very vast discipline. It embodies many other things. Acceptance and rejection principles are just one part of that whole science.
Oh, Jazakumullah khairan, sir. Thanks very much for clarifying.
Thank you very much. Shafqat, please go ahead.
Dr. Saab, a very short question. One of my sisters called in and asked me to ask you this. She was offering her Zohar prayers, and after she said her salam, she realized that she might have said 2 rakat instead of the 4. So she started all over again. And while she was in the middle of that, she realized that the time she had spent the first time was exactly the time she spent the second time. So did she need to repeat the entire namaz if she felt that she had done 2? Or did she need to just offer 2 more rakat? And
you just need to offer 2 more. I mean, as if you realize that you have prayed 2, offer 2 rakats and 2 remain, you don't need to repeat the prayer. If you have said your salam, you've finished the prayer, you can just come back, or maybe right at that time, just offer the remaining 2.
Right, Dr. Saab. Thank you very much. And just one small request, sir. One of our participants here, a fellow student, Ms. Shabana Ansari, she was on another session 2 days back, and she informed that session that her elder brother, who's around 59, was diagnosed with last stage cancer of
Cancer.
the liver,
Yes.
and just a small prayer for her because she was really
Absolutely.
shattered and had tears in
Yes.
her eyes. And
Yeah.
because she was a colleague of ours, she's been very actively participating. I would request a small prayer for her too.
Absolutely.
And
I'm already in touch with her, and she shared this news with me some time ago. And I just talked to her. I mean, just messaged her today, and she said that he's not very well. And of course, liver cancer is a very it's like a terminal thing. And fortunately, it's fourth stage. So
absolutely, sir.
yes, we all pray for the comfort of the patient, and may God's blessings be on him.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saleem, for another wonderful session and for all your tips throughout for changing our habits and other during the questions too. And thank you to all the participants for participating during the discussion segments. We wouldn't have that segment if it wasn't for your participation. So that's really nice. And it adds so much. I get to learn a lot, and I hope other people that are listening to the recordings and during the live sessions are also learning from all the different aspects of things that we can be more mindful of and things that we can work to improve. So, inshallah, we'll see you all tomorrow in another session of textual study of the Qur'an. And until then, please take care. Assalamu alaikum.